of law enforcement. Look at terrorism now, especially in the north. Look at what is going on. Children being killed in their beds, students being killed in their beds in Yobe, and that is repeated. So it's almost obvious that we cannot contain the violence. And the reason why we can't contain the violence is because there is the structure of law enforcement is wrong. And this point we've made repeatedly, that the structure of law enforcement is wrong. What you are supposed to have is community policing. You must have states policing themselves. If something is going on in Yobe, the best people to handle it are people who live there. If you don't have the police force that is indigenous to that place, you will always have a situation where the police are seen as foreigners, where they are seen as persons who can be killed at will. Look at the attacks on police stations in different parts of the north. The reason why these attacks can take place is because these individuals are regarded as foreigners. So you have an Igbo DPO in Yobe State. He doesn't understand the language, he doesn't know anything. He's sitting down there when Boko Haram come and kill everybody that's there. If he were from that community, somebody will come and whisper to him and say, brother, they're coming to kill this individual. He will run away. Everybody will disappear from the place. Community policing is absolutely important. But the reason why we don't want to do community policing, one of the reasons is that the federal government, whoever is in charge or whoever is holding federal power, does not want to concede that power. So, Mr. President wants to keep the police under him, so that if Amechi does something funny in River State, he makes sure that Amechi's policemen are withdrawn. He puts a commissioner of police there who is against Amechi. And those kinds of things, trifling with the very important issues of law and order. Once there is insecurity, it is the poorest that suffer. And we add to the masses of the suffering. We add to the masses of the poor. Look at stealing oil in the Niger Delta. I mean, there's enough trouble up there in the north. But look at stealing oil in the Niger Delta. Oil theft. Now we are told that it's on an industrial scale. I mean, how does a country manage to get itself to the point where it's major product, the major source of earnings? Some thieves can actually just be stealing it on an industrial scale. How do you get to that point? All of these implications, all of this make life difficult for people, and we must address them. These are the kinds of issues that governments are compelled to sit down and address. We can't keep saying, governments cannot keep saying that we don't know where we are trying our best, we are working at it, we will fish them out very soon. Somebody gets kidnapped, the High Court judge gets kidnapped, Supreme Court judge gets kidnapped, we will fish them out, When are we going to fish out these guys? Where will we find these people? I think there's a lot of cynicism about these things, and the reason is that we've got our structure wrong. We've got the structure wrong. We've got to change the structure of law enforcement. Once you bring in soldiers to enforce anything anywhere, it means that you have gotten to the last defense that you have. Policing is first and foremost a civilian thing, and that ought to be done first before we even get to the problem of soldiers. I'll get on to the very last point, and that is the problem with the distribution of wealth. Money is not going to the places where the largest numbers of people need it. That's the problem. Money is not getting to the places where the largest number of people need the money. So you have all money coming in, is shared between the federal and states. The federal gets about 50%, states, all the states also get about 50%. But how does the money get to those who need it the most? Let me just show you some figures. The National Assembly in 2013, this year, gets a statutory transfer of 150 billion, right? And Bobby got into a lot of trouble for her comments on that, but I'll explain, I'll just show you where the disparities are. So 150 billion for 469 senators and the retinue of staff, etc. Now, Ebonyi State has 2.1 million people, and for the whole year also, going by the average, will get 151 billion. So the whole of Ebonyi State, with its 2.1 million people, will get roughly what 469 legislators get. How will that state not be poor? How will people not be poor when you have ordered when we have ordered the priorities in that kind of skewed manner? The money is not getting to the poorest, it's not getting to those who need it, or to the largest numbers of our people. Same as Ekiti State. Ekiti State has 2.39 million people. It gets 165 billion in the entire year also. And you have 150 billion going to senators. The senators and national assembly members. Now, Sokoto State is said to be the poorest state, or has the highest number of the poor in Nigeria. About 82% are poor. It gets 237. It has 3.7 million people and gets 237 billion naira. Just maybe 60 billion odd or so, or 70 billion odd, more than 469 people get. And that is the poorest. Adamawa is the fourth poorest, or have the largest number of the poor, the fourth largest number of the poor. It gets 223 million. So it is clear that there is a problem. It's clear that money is not getting to the right place. And all of these things are not rocket science. It's just a matter of seeing that this disequilibrium is there, these inequalities are there, and the more we perpetrate these inequalities, the more difficult it is to ever bridge the gap, as is said, between the rich and the poor. Poverty increases because of this misprioritization, because of this lack of priorities. So finally, I end with what Mandela said. Mandela said that poverty is not an accident. He said, like slavery and apartheid, it is man-made and can be removed by the actions of men, by the actions of human beings. And I want to say to you that Nigerian poverty is not an accident. It is man-made. And it can be removed by the actions of government if we make them do what they ought to do. Thank you. I don't wait for questions.
Please be seated. Do you expect any questions? Okay, we're expecting. Somebody's bringing the questions in. Okay. We have one question for you, sir, online. It will be up in a minute. So while we wait for that, we'll quickly take a question from the audience. We have Temi Tope Ola Sumonu. Please be here. Can you come out? Temi Tope Ola Sumonu. Are you here?